Hello everyone, it is time for a review of Eminem's newest release, the Marshall Mathers LP 2. Eminem obviously is Detroit's most prominent rapper. He's the greatest white rapper of all time, and for some people he's the greatest rapper of all time, depending on how you judge them. To me, there's no doubt lyrically, guys like Biggie and Pac may have had more influence, but I think Eminem does what he does better than anyone else ever has. And for me, Eminem's early work was the first music that I really enjoyed. I'd say the Eminem Show and Marshall Mathers LP got me into enjoying music the way I do. But Eminem's had a struggle in recent years. Ever since he came back after his little hiatus, his albums Relapse and Recovery, for some reason, whatever it was, just weren't up to his standards. Especially Recovery, I really hated that thing. And Eminem released a chunk of singles before this album dropped, like Survival and Berserk, which all have grown on me a little bit after I didn't like them at all initially. But I still say, for the most part, the singles are actually the weakest part of this project altogether. And to continue off of that, I'm going to kill a lot of birds with one stone and say that I cannot stand most of the choruses and hooks on this album. Ever since Recovery, Eminem has brought in these guest singers to sing his hooks for him, like Paulina on some song, and Rihanna, who I never really could stand. And these singers don't mesh well with Eminem's personality and his slim, shady persona. It just makes for a really awkward segue between verses for Eminem. I don't know why he puts these people on. Maybe it gives the song some pop sound, some pop accessibility for, a broader audience, but it doesn't work well. I like the hook on Rap God. Kendrick Lamar on Love Game, I like that one. Even the guy from Fun on Headlights was okay. And then, again, because Eminem was rapping it on Evil Twin. But other than that, I can't find a chorus off of this I liked. The opening track of this album, Bad Guy, might have been the most ambitious opener Eminem's ever put on an album, sequeling his Stan super hit from the Marshall Mathers LP, obviously. And he delivers these great verses over just a really catchy, in-your-ear kind of squeak for an instrumental. But the song really is an overarching metaphor for Eminem's conscience in his music, and what he did very well with this song that he hasn't for a while is show rather than tell. It's a really creative way, I think, of expressing that, whereas on Recovery he probably would have just written a few lines about it and have been done. And Eminem goes back to his trademark style of building up verse after verse until it reaches a crescendo. And here it hits that in a whole new level of intensity when he brings on this really huge orchestral instrumental for his fourth verse. But from the third verse onward, every line is fire. Now he has a few bumpy lines, and he has a few corny ones, but unlike on his LP with Royce and on Recovery, the corny lines here are really funny. Like, I treated your window like I hit my full potential. I peaked. It was nice to see that song and the skit following it, Parking Lot, to show some kind of continuation between this album and the first Marshall Mathers. The really heavy Zombies sample worked well for Eminem on Rhyme or Reason. He continued that hot start he got off to on Bad Guy and kept rapping his mind off. But I can't say the same for So Much Better, because he felt really clunky at times, and that line about Smurfs and puking blue Kool-Aid. I always cringe when a song is used as part of an ad campaign, which Survival was for Call of Duty. But now that I'm over it, the verses are a little more tolerable. I still can't get over that awful chorus. This is Survival. The song Legacy really feels a little overcooked with just how dramatic it is, because I feel like we've already heard a lot of what's going on here before about Eminem's childhood and what music means to him. The rhyme scheme is kind of basic too for me, although he pulls it off well. But the song does have some really good lines, like the one about Brian Dawkins and the Detroit Lions offense. But then that line about Italian sausage was really the... And the funniest part of this song was this random shout out to Tribe Called Quest right in the middle of a verse that just came out of nowhere. It's like, turn the mic on. By the way, shout out to Tribe Called Quest. The song with Skylar Grey was actually cool. You know, I thought the chorus was actually pretty funny. But I don't really have much intellectual to say about Eminem had some hot bars, because that's what I feel like I'm saying when I review this album, because that's pretty much all it is. But classic Eminem in this song. He goes at the throat of Asher Roth. Classic Eminem. Just go at someone who can't fight back. Just ruthlessly attack someone who isn't imposing at all. I love... What did he say about Asher Roth? I gotta look this up. This is so funny. He dissed Asher Roth, but Asher Roth didn't even say anything bad. Asher Roth used his name in a song, and that was enough to find himself on Eminem's bad side. Classic. I loved it. And that's not even mentioning the fact that he makes fun of Helen Keller and the Insane Clown Posse. Like, how easy of a target do you have to be to wind up on an Eminem song? But in all seriousness, I do like the song. You know, I'm not being sarcastic about how bad the insults are. You know, they're really funny. You know, the song title, Asshole, and the lyrics really live up to the name. It's great. Everyone knows about Berserk by now. I thought it sounded awful when it came out as a single. I like it a little bit more at this point. But like I said, I really didn't feel many of the singles on this album. And following it is Rap God, which I liked a little more. You know, Eminem definitely seems comfortable rapping like this, but I like Eminem when he's not going super fast. You know, I want to at least enjoy what he's saying. I want to hear some, you know, catchiness to the lyrics. Just rapping really fast doesn't always equate to that. You know, I know Eminem can rap really fast. I don't want to hear him do it to the extent he does it on Rap God. But you got to give credit to him on this song, though, because he is good at what he does. And speaking of great lines, the Brainless, the second verse of Brainless was unbelievable. That was one of the best verses he's written in a long time. Now, Eminem has lines that make you cringe, but nothing made me cringe like the song Stronger Than I Was. Eminem has tried to sing before on the Eminem Show. Man, I can't get with this song. Every time this comes on, I skip right over it. I don't really have much to say other than that. It wasn't the best business investment to write this song. It was a good try, though. Monster was a little bland for me. Not just because Rihanna was on the hook. And So Far was okay. I did like the beat on So Far. I like how Eminem can write over any kind of instrumental you give him. That was cool. I like the southern vibe of it. It reminded me of that song, you know, White Trash Party, except not terrible. But the song I really wanted to talk about was Love Game with Kendrick Lamar. When you see Kendrick Lamar's name as a guest, you know, you're expecting some kind of masterpiece, you know, like Good Kid, Mad City Part 2. But here, man, they're just having fun, and it is a sight to behold. Love the part where Eminem's talking about all the guys his girl has been with. Wayne Andre, Kanye, LeBron, Akon, Jay, Lil Jon. Great. And in Kendrick's verse, he calls up Shireen in her answering machine, just is telling us all about how he's whipped, and at the end, have a blessed day. This song's great. You know, where else would Kendrick Lamar be able to write lines like this and not have people like, what is he talking about? It's great that he meshes so well with Eminem on this track. No doubt, it's the most fun I've had listening to an Eminem song since probably the Eminem Show. And speaking of fun, the next song, Headlights, with that dude from Fun, was the polar opposite of Love Game. Headlights was a surprising addition to the back end of this album, and very touching to hear that Eminem, finally admits that, he might have taken it too far with his mother, and that he still has feelings for her despite the fact that they have been estranged for some time now. And when you listen to the difference between this song and some of the songs from the Marshall Mathers LP, you realize what a difference the two in the title makes, and how different Eminem is now than how he used to be back then. As rude and as comical as Eminem is, he still always has that ability to get some emotional response out of people. And it was a great ending to this album with Love Game, this song, and then Evil Twin was excellent in its own way as well. Eminem's talking about how he's mad there's no more NSYNC or Backstreet Boys to make fun of, so instead he resorts to Sarah Palin, Christina Aguilera, Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, maybe. This song, just vintage Eminem. Plenty of name drops and pop culture references, but the classic Eminem confidence is back, where he says, great line, he says, I'm top 4, and that includes Biggie and Pac. Whore, and I got an evil twin. Ooh. All over this album, Eminem showcases his crude personality, while also taking into consideration that, he is 40 years old, and he has to write material that, reflects where he is in life, but he blends it together efficiently, where on Recovery it was a disaster. And really, he's just back to writing great lines and saying what he wants to say. This album really didn't disappoint the way that I figured it would. It was definitely no disgrace to the Marshall Mathers LP. Now, this isn't the album of the year, but it came out as well as I could have hoped for, and it's definitely a step up from what he's been making recently. I'm feeling an 8 out of 10 on the Marshall Mathers LP 2. That's it for now. We'll see what I review next.